In the chaos of war, they weren't just soldiers, they were brothers. Band of Brothers 2001 told the powerful story of courage, sacrifice, and unbreakable bonds on the front lines of World War II. But more than 20 years later, what happened to the cast? Let's go back and discover where they are today. Number 1. Damian Lewis as Richard Winters. There are soldiers who do not need to shout to lead, they walk, and the entire platoon follows. And in Band of Brothers, Richard Winters is the embodiment of that quiet authority. When the series premiered in 2001, Damian Lewis was about 30 years old, a relatively new face, yet carrying on his shoulders the image of the legendary commander of Easy Company on D-Day. From the chaotic parachute jump over Normandy to the artillery assault at Brecourt Manor, where he gave orders as if he had done it all his life. Every step Winters takes in the film is a chain of life or death decisions, as he must hold together the spirit of his men in the frozen hell of Bastogne, where scarcity, fear, and death surround them. The role stands out for its calmness, humanity, and iron discipline, creating a rare model of leadership on screen. After the series, Damian Lewis rose strongly with major roles like Homeland, but life is not only about the spotlight. He endured the loss of his wife, actress Helen McCrory, in 2021. By 2026, at the age of 55, Lewis remains active in the arts and respected much like Winters himself, a symbol of resilience, where the war has passed but leadership endures forever. Number 2. Ron Livingston as Lewis Nixon. Not every hero charges into the front lines with a rifle. Some fight with their mind and a bottle of whiskey hidden in a backpack. And Lewis Nixon is exactly that kind of man. When joining Band of Brothers, Ron Livingston was about 34, delivering a sharp, witty Nixon, but beneath it lies the mental exhaustion of war. In the series, Nixon is an intelligence officer, the one who reads maps, analyzes tactics, and sometimes the only one sober enough to truly understand what they are facing. From the early days in Normandy to the march into Germany, where he witnesses concentration camps and unimaginable brutality, Nixon's journey is not about grand battles but psychological erosion. He drinks more, laughs less, and stands on the fragile edge of sanity. The role is powerful because it exposes the dark side of war. Not everyone dies, but many never truly live again. After the series, Livingston maintained a steady career in television and film, avoiding major scandals and not chasing loud stardom. By 2026, at 58, he remains a persistent actor like Nixon, not needing dazzling glory, only needing to last long enough to tell the story. Number 3. Donnie Wahlberg as Carwood Lipton. If Winters is the cold mind, then Carwood Lipton is the heart that never stops beating in Easy Company. When Band of Brothers aired, Donnie Wahlberg was about 32, stepping away from his image as a New Kids on the Block singer to portray a devoted non-commissioned officer who held the spirit of his men in their darkest moments. From training under Sobel to the hell of Bastogne, Lipton is always there in the line of fire. Not to command, but to encourage, to remind everyone they still have a reason to go on. Every step he takes in the snowy forest, every comforting word when comrades fall, builds a character that is emotional and painfully relatable. The role stands out because it represents the ordinary man in war, not perfect, not immortal, but never giving up. After the series, Wahlberg successfully transitioned into acting with shows like Blue Bloods, though his personal life once drew attention due to a rebellious youth and past controversies. By 2026, at 56, he has become a mature artist, carrying Lipton's memory as an inseparable part of himself, a soldier who not only survived but helped others keep living. Number 4. David Schwimmer as Herbert Sobel. Some characters are born to be hated, yet impossible to forget. And Herbert Sobel is the first nightmare of Easy Company and Band of Brothers. When taking on this role in 2001, David Schwimmer was about 35. Carrying the massive shadow of Ross from Friends, but he completely shattered that familiar image to become a brutally harsh training officer. During the early days at Camp Toccoa, Sobel pushes soldiers to exhaustion, punishes irrationally, and creates immense psychological pressure, turning training into a living hell where every soldier must learn endurance. From forcing the entire platoon into pointless night runs to making inflexible tactical decisions, Sobel gradually loses the respect of his men, leading to a quiet mutiny when the NCOs collectively protest, though he does not fight on the front lines. Sobel lays the foundation for a steel-disciplined company. The role is striking for its authentic unpleasantness, making audiences both angry and aware that this very pressure-forged Easy Company. After the series, Schwimmer continued acting and directing, avoiding major scandals but going through a divorce with Zoe Buckman in 2017. By 2026, at 59, he remains active and remembered as the man who dared to sacrifice his image to create a character who is hated but essential to this war story. Number 5. Matthew Settle as Ronald Speirs. Not everyone needs explanations. Some only need to appear to silence the battlefield. And Ronald Speirs is that kind of ghost. When joining Band of Brothers, Matthew Settle was about 32, portraying a cold, mysterious Speirs surrounded by chilling rumors. In the series, Speirs is said to have shot German prisoners, a rumor never confirmed but haunting those around him. The peak of his character is the moment he runs through the town of Foy under heavy fire to connect with another unit, a near-suicidal act carried out with terrifying calm. Speirs does not talk much, does not explain, he simply acts, and that is what makes him a symbol of necessary brutality in war. The role stands out because it raises a question: how far apart are a hero and a monster? After the series, Settle continued acting in television, notably in Gossip Girl, without major scandals. By 2026, at 57, he still carries a quiet presence like Speirs himself, a man who speaks little but makes others want to know more, and perhaps some answers are meant to remain on the battlefield. Number 6. Scott Grimes as Donald Malarkey. Amid gunfire and smoke, there are soldiers who preserve a bit of light through optimism, and Donald Malarkey is that rare spark. When Band of Brothers premiered, Scott Grimes was about 30, bringing a youthful, energetic Malarkey who constantly tries to keep morale alive even as war slowly erodes everything. From Normandy to Bastogne, Malarkey fights not only the enemy but also the pain of losing friends, especially the death of Skip Muck that leaves him devastated. Smiles gradually fade, words grow heavier, showing the clear transformation of a soldier as the war drags on. The role becomes special because it reflects the loss of innocence from a hopeful young man to a survivor carrying memories that cannot be erased. After the series, Grimes continued working in both acting and music, standing out with roles in The Orville and voice work in Family Guy. His personal life saw changes such as a divorce before remarrying, but no major scandals. By 2026, at 54, Grimes still retains a warm presence like Malarkey, someone who went through war but tried to hold on to his humanity, even as the world around him changed forever. Number 7. Neal McDonough as Lynn Buck Compton. Some soldiers enter war with unbreakable faith and leave with cracks that never heal. And Buck Compton is that painful proof in Band of Brothers. When portraying this role in 2001, Neal McDonough was about 35, delivering a strong, loyal Compton who serves as a pillar for his comrades in the early days of Normandy. He charges into battles, fights alongside Winters and Lipton, always maintaining a smile and optimism even when death is near. But war spares no one. Bastogne becomes the turning point, when Compton witnesses his close friend Wild Bill Guarnere severely wounded and Joe Toye losing his leg, a shock that shatters his spirit and forces a brave soldier to leave the battlefield due to psychological exhaustion. The role stands out for its clear portrayal of war trauma, PTSD, before the term became widely recognized. After the series, McDonough built a steady career with both villainous and heroic roles in Hollywood, known for his personal principle of refusing intimate scenes, which cost him roles but also defined his image. His personal life remained stable with no major scandals. By 2026, at 60, he is still active, carrying the image of Buck Compton, a soldier once so strong that no one imagined he could break, until war proved otherwise. Number 8. Frank John Hughes as William Wild Bill Guarnere. If war is hell, then Wild Bill Guarnere is the flame that refuses to die. When Band of Brothers aired, Frank John Hughes was about 34, portraying a hot-tempered, loyal Guarnere who charges into danger without hesitation. From the early days in Normandy, he shows impulsiveness but also courage, always at the front line, protecting his comrades with his life. Guarnere does not just fight for duty, but also for personal emotion. The death of his brother at the hands of German forces fuels his rage throughout the war. The peak comes at Bastogne, where he is severely wounded, losing part of his leg but still refusing to surrender his spirit. The role stands out for its raw energy, authenticity, and emotional intensity, making audiences both fearful and admiring. After the series, Hughes continued acting and producing, staying away from major scandals and maintaining a low profile. By 2026, at 59, he remains active in the arts. And whenever Guarnere is mentioned, people remember a warrior who lived fully, someone who fought not only the enemy but also his own pain. Number 9. Rick Gomez as George Luce. Not every hero carries a serious face. Some save an entire company with a perfectly timed joke. And George Lewes is that morale boost in Band of Brothers. When joining in 2001, Rick Gomez was about 29, young and full of energy, bringing a humorous, quick-witted Lewes who plays a crucial role as a radio operator from Normandy to the fiercest battles. Lewes appears with his impressions of superior officers, making his comrades laugh in the middle of war's hell. But behind the laughter is a brave soldier who always completes communication missions under fire. The role stands out because it shows that war is not just about bullets, but also about how people preserve their sanity. After the series, Gomez continued his career with many memorable supporting roles, staying out of major scandals and living a private life. By 2026, at 54, he remains active in entertainment. And the image of George Lewes lives on a soldier, proving that sometimes laughter is also a form of heroism. Number 10. Michael Cudlitz as Denver Bull Randleman. Some men do not need words, they fight like machines, endure like stone, and Bull Randleman is the embodiment of that silent strength in Band of Brothers. When taking this role in 2001, Michael Cudlitz was about 37, older than many of his co-stars, bringing a seasoned, quiet but extremely reliable Randleman. During the Normandy battle, he is separated from his unit and must survive alone in enemy territory, hiding, moving through darkness, and fighting solo, one of the most intense survival journeys in the series. When he returns, he does not boast. He simply continues fighting. The role stands out for its realism and emotional weight, showing that the quiet soldiers often endure the most. After the series, Cudlitz achieved major success with the role of Abraham in The Walking Dead, while also facing the pressures of fame. With no major scandals, his career remained stable. By 2026, at 61, he is still active and respected like Bull Randleman, a man who does not need the spotlight. But when he appears, everyone knows this is a true warrior. War memories may fade with time, but those faces remain like shadows that never leave the mist of history. They remind us that freedom always comes at a cost, and some stories must never be forgotten.